In example 2, it says a class obtained the following scores on a test. You have the scores and you have the frequency. The frequency means how many students in this case got a score of 90, how many got a score of 80, etc. Find the mean, variance, and standard deviation of the scores. So I'm going to show you how to do this the long way. To figure out the mean, you would have to take each value, so each score, and multiply it by its frequency, because that means there were two scores of 90 plus 80 times 4 plus 70 times 6 plus 60 times 5 plus 50 times 3, and you're going to divide by n, and n in this case is going to be the sum of the frequencies. Okay, it's going to be the sum of the frequencies. So in this case, it's 6, 12, 17. There's 20 numbers. So now you're going to go ahead and put this into your calculator, and it's going to equal 1370 divided by 20. And this is just going to equal 68.5. So that means that the average is 68.5. When you go to find the variance and the standard deviation is the average distance of each value from the mean. So you would have to take each score, subtract the mean to figure out basically that difference between the two. So we're going to go ahead and do a chart for this. If you recall, the formula for the standard deviation is equal to the square root of the sum of the difference of the x's and the mean squared divided by n. In this case, you have frequencies, so we have to add one more thing to it, which is basically that you'd have to multiply by the frequencies first. So I'm going to go ahead and make a table. I'm going to list the values. I'm going to subtract the mean, which is 68.5. I'm going to take those differences and I'm going to square them. Then I'm going to take those differences, and after I square them, I have to multiply by the frequency, because there's not just 190. There's not just 180, okay? It tells you that there are two scores that are 90s. So there's in reality two of these, 4 80s, 6 70s, 5 60s, and 3 scores of 50. So that's what we have to keep in mind. So I'm going to go ahead and start off by listing all my values. So 90, 80, 70, 60, and 50. The next thing I'm going to do is take each one of those values and I'm going to subtract the mean, which we found to be 68.5. You can do this in your calculator. If you go to Stat Edit and you go to List 1, you can enter the 90, 80, 70, 60, 50 in the calculator. Then once you enter that, you're going to go to List 2. You're going to have to go up to highlight List 2. And then you're going to tell List 2 to take List 1, which is second one in the TI-84 Plus calculator, minus 68.5, which is the mean. And then you're going to get all the differences when you press enter. So they are 21.5, 11.5, 1.5, negative 8.5, and negative 18.5. And that's just an easy way so that you don't have to do it manually one by one, although you can go ahead and do it manually. The next step is to take those differences now, and we're going to square them, okay? We're going to square them, and so we're going to write down what we got, which is 462.25. So right here we have our squares of those differences. The last thing we have to do is multiply that column by the frequency. So the first one is going to get multiplied by 2 because we know that there's a frequency of 290s. Then the next one will be multiplied by 4, then by 6, by 5, and by 3. And I'm going to write down what those values are. 1026, so 1026.8. Let's go ahead and find the sum of that last column. The sum is 2,855. So the variance is going to equal this sum, 2855, divided by the total. And remember, the total, you can't just go, oh, there's 190, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. No, no, no. The total is going to be the sum of the frequencies, which we had already said is 20. So you're going to take that and you're going to divide 2855 by 20. And that's going to give you 142.75. So that's your variance. Your standard deviation is going to be the square root of the variance. So that's going to be approximately equal to 11.9 if you round to 3 significant figures. So that's how you're going to be able to find variance and standard deviation the long way, by using the chart. If you have more questions on how to do this on a graphing calculator, I will go ahead and attach the link to the video so that you can watch how to do this on a TI-84 Plus.